Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Coaches Show here on 90.1 KBPK and SportsNetUSA.net. I'm Noah Alvarez, and I'll be joined alongside Victor Vasquez and Ryan Osborne later on in the show as your Fullerton Hornets came up 7 points shy of forcing an overtime last Saturday against Mount Sac, thus finishing in second place for the conference. Now, as one season comes to a close and we close the door at one season here at Fullerton College, we open up the door to a new season here at the Hornets Nest at Fullerton College. I'm here with head coach Marsha Foster of the basketball team here at Fullerton College. And coach, I wanted to ask you about last season. Overall record of 18-10. Right. You end on a 4-game winning streak. Does that help at all with the freshmen that are coming back as sophomores and help build their confidence during the offseason?
Absolutely, because we all left with a bad taste in our mouth. Even though we were playing good basketball towards the end, we didn't make the playoffs, nor should we have made the playoffs. We needed to beat a couple teams in our conference and not leave it up to the fate of the numbers. So yeah, people were hungry. I think a lot of our players came back better because of it, and they want to chase that championship.
So you had a chance, speaking of last season still, you had a chance to watch and be a part of the broadcast for Diablo Valley and Moore Park in the championship game. How did what perspective did you gain from watching those championship teams play and battle it out for this season?
First of all, as much as I enjoy this part of it, the talking, the commentating, I prefer to be down on the floor. And I tell the broadcasters that every year, so it's been 2 years now. I learned so much when I watched. It's high-level basketball. The pace that they play at. There's just some standout players. Everybody has like standout players, and I think that our recruiting was great this year. We have a lot of young talent. They're young though; it's going to take us some time, but we have some players that can really impact not just the sophomores that are coming back, but some of the young freshmen that are in.
So speaking of those sophomores, who were going to be your standout players for this Hornets team?
Well, I'm counting on our sophomores to set the pace and to set the standard of what they know we expect as a coaching staff. So Katie Salas, she's solid, nice mid-range shot, tough, can be a really good rebounder for us. Mariah Serrano, she was second team all conference last year. We're looking for her to do even take another step. And then Shanice West really grew for us over the summer and in preseason. So those three. Hannah Jones is hurt right now too, so when she comes back, that should really give us a nice spark because she's such a solid defender and good rebounder for us. So, yeah, those sophomores should really help us this year.
And then going back to the freshmen of this class, what were some things that you really liked from this recruiting class, and what did you see in training camp and during the beginning of this regular season?
Well, we were really lucky to get a trio from Segerstrom, Tatiana Sasueta, Angela Zendejas, and Jacqueline Vega. Now, it's unusual to get three from a school, and sometimes you're a little wary about that because they all know each other. We want them to kind of integrate with the team, but it hasn't been a problem. They're great kids, lots of talent there. Tatiana is a special player and helps to it takes some of the pressure off Mariah handling the point and allows her to kind of shoot it. We got lucky. We got a kid, Sydney Nicola from the Midwest. She's from Illinois, so we're really excited about her. And then got a big, so I almost forgot a big. Janelle Ramos from La Mirada High School, 6'3", solid. And Destiny Goodlow, quick, talented Norwalk kid. I think I got everybody. There's some other kids that everybody's going to contribute, but those kids right now are having an impact on the floor.
So when you recruit during the off season, what are some of the things that you're looking for when you're out recruiting athletes? Because you do pull kids not only from the local level, but from other areas of the country as well. So what are some of those things that you're looking for? Well,
really, we have been there's so many talented kids in our area, and we've tried to go inland a little bit. If we can get up to Corona, it's good because those kids are still part of our region to recruit from. But you can recruit statewide now. But we want local kids because we want families and we want people in the stands coming to see the kids. Plus, it's Fullerton College. It'd be nice to have some homegrown kids do some stuff here. We're looking for kids who have some talent, right? Put the ball in the basket. But really good kids. We need good kids here because it's easier to coach. For me, having been in the business for so long, it's so much easier when you have good kids. Talented kids, but good kids. And we have a lot of good kids.
So speaking of coaching, you've coached down the street at Cal State Fullerton, but now you're here at the community college level. What do you enjoy most about coaching at this level of basketball?
Well, let's just say it's nonstop at this level. So there were layers in between myself and the freshmen when I was down the street with 3 assistant coaches. They dealt with them most of the time. I dealt a lot with the seniors and the juniors. You know, I talked to them, and they would kind of set the stage and set the tone. Not that I didn't talk to the freshmen. I did, obviously. But here, that's what we have, freshmen and sophomores. So it's the challenge is trying to get them ready to play at the next level. Those who want to continue to go on, to be leaders, to be solid students, to understand the work ethic on the floor. So there's different challenges, but I enjoy it though, and I also enjoy teaching in the class here too. I get to have an impact, so that's the difference too. I get to have an impact on a lot of young people, not just the kids that I coach.
So when looking ahead at this 2019-2020 season, what are some areas that you think are going to be the strength of this team going forward?
Well, I think we can shoot the ball. You know, we can put the ball in the basket and we can run the floor. Defensively, we have got to get better and we've got to rebound the ball better. I got a lot of kids that like to shoot and like to play fast and like to create. We should be fun to watch, though. We can be a very good defensive team, but we're going to grow into that. It's not something – we're not where we want to be right now. We just finished watching film, and it's obvious that there's a lot of growth that needs to happen. So it's being patient because we have a lot of kids too. That's the thing. We have a lot of kids. We have nice, solid numbers. But being patient with them as they grow and understanding that it's going to take some a little bit longer. And I heard it – I forget where I heard it, but like all flowers don't bloom at the same time, right? And so I'm hoping that we all bloom come conference season, right? So every game we play right now is just about getting better.
So when looking at the defense, especially at the college level, you see a lot of full court press, trap, and zones mixed in with man-to-man. What are some of those defensive strategies that you're going to employ this year? So
we are kind of mixing it up. So we're playing man-to-man. We're playing like a three-quarter court trapping zone. We have a half-court trap, none of which we do very well at this moment. But we are. And we play a solid zone. So we're going to mix it up on people. I have different lineups that I can play that can do different things, and I'm excited about figuring out. I haven't done so yet. We've played 6 games. I'm a little better at understanding who needs to play when and who I can put together. As we get better with that as a staff, the team is going to get better, and we'll be able to kind of focus in on what the team does best.
So looking ahead at later this season, you play in a couple tournaments, but you also host the Colleen Riley tournament here later in the year in December. How special is it that you get to host a tournament here at Fullerton College?
Well, it's awesome, and especially because it is the Colleen Riley tournament. A legendary coach here, and not just at Fullerton College, but obviously in the state. The award for the Coach of the Year is named after her for the South. And there's just so much legacy and history here. And, you know, the fact that she passed away doesn't stop us from continuing to carry on the legacy of her and playing hard and doing things the right way. So having a tournament that honors her is a wonderful thing.
All right, well, thank you very much for your time and best of luck this season.
Thank you.
I'm here with Mariah Serrano of the women's basketball team here at Fullerton College. And Mariah, the first question I wanted to ask you, 18-10 last year, and you guys end on a 5-game winning streak. Does that help at all when you're going into the off season?
Yeah, it definitely does. Just coming off a good streak always helps a lot.
So how did last year's sophomore class help you evolve your game as a freshman last season?
They're definitely like a step above us. So it was cool looking up to them, and it really helped me just knowing things that I need to work on to be like them.
So speaking of being like them, how did your role change from going into your freshman season to now going into your sophomore year here at Fullerton College?
I feel more confident. It's definitely stepping stone too, so yeah.
As far as the rest of the team goes, who are some incoming freshmen that you've been really impressed by, not only during the summer workouts, but during the first couple weeks of the season?
Definitely Tati. She's a freshman. She's really cool. She's just really like a well-rounded player. She can do everything.
So you're part of a big sophomore group that returns from Shanice to Katie as well. What are some of the things that you really connect with as far as the chemistry-wise on the court with those girls?
Yeah, we connect really well. Like, I love playing with them, so it's really cool. And our relationship like grew over the past like year, but it's really been fun.
What would you say some of the strengths of your team are going into this season?
This year we definitely have more height than last year, so I think that really helps with having bigger people. And yeah.
And then what are some areas of weakness that you would like to see your team improve on as the season goes along?
Definitely defense. Yeah, we need to work on defense. But other than that, we're pretty good so far.
All right, thank you very much for your time and best of luck this year.
Thank you.
I'm here with Katie Salas and Shanice West of the women's basketball team here at Fullerton College. And we'll start it over with Katie. Coming back for your sophomore season, what are some of the biggest things as far as in the offseason that you guys were working on and to improve upon from last year's team?
We've really been working on our transition, and we've kind of started putting in our plays and our defenses way earlier, instead of kind of starting a little bit later than last year. Obviously, kind of our defenses and just tightening everything up.
So you mentioned defense, and we were talking with Mariah earlier. What are some things that you would like to see improve upon your defense going into this season?
I think just staying in front of our man and being able to defend like one-on-one, so it'll just tighten everything up, basically, I guess.
So turning it over to you, Shanice, what were some of the things that, as far as like your off the court and on the court roles, how did that change from your freshman season going into your sophomore year?
Definitely had to work on communication on and off the floor. That was a big part of me growing, I feel like, as an individual player. On and off the court, communicating with our other team captains and other teammates, making sure they're all right, talking to coach, talking to on the floor. I really grew from that too.
How does Coach Marsha Foster make sure you guys' chemistry is not only on point on the court but off the court as well?
She focuses on us being a locker room team, talking on and off, making sure we communicate with our coach, our other assistant coaches as well.
So turning it back to you, Katie, what are some things that Marsha Foster does differently than some of the other coaches you've had in your past?
I have not had a coach that cares as much as her. And I mean, I've only had only a couple coaches with club and everything, but she really cares about her students and her athletes, and she really makes sure that everyone's okay, but also pushes us to compete and to want to get better.
So is that what attracted you to Fullerton College, or what was some of the decision that came to playing for Fullerton College here?
Originally I was going to play at Santa Ana, and then I was committed. I was going to be I'm playing there for sure. And then she hit me up, and I came here, and I met her, and she's a fantastic lady. I love the campus. I love the team. So that really kind of pushed me to I literally the next day I called the Santa Ana coach, and I was I'm sorry, I can't play there. I'm going to play at Fullerton.
So turning it back to you, Shanice, what were some of the decisions and what really attracted you to play here at Fullerton College?
For me, it was the campus visit. Once I saw how the team played against each other, and the chemistry between the assistant coaches and the teammates was really strong, and I really liked that.
What are some things that you enjoy or like most from this coaching staff, not only Marsha, but some of the assistant coaches as well here?
We're very close-knit. It's just we all just click. I don't know. It's just a very good bond with each other. We always keep communication on and off the floor.
So speaking of the sophomores, Katie, how would you describe the sophomore class, and what would you say are some of the strengths?
We're very close. We've had obviously last season to really kind of get to know each other, and we know how we all play on the floor. So it's nice to have be able to read each other.
So when looking at the incoming freshman class, we got to talk with player Mariah earlier. She mentioned Tatiana, but who are some other players, freshmen this year, that have really stood out to you during training camp and the beginning of the season?
Angie, she's a long guard for us. She kind of plays a small forward, but she can also play the guard, and she's a hustler.
And turning it back to you, Shanice, outside of Angie and outside of Tatiana, who are some freshmen that really stood out to you during camp?
I would have to say Sydney, just because the way she's just so small and compact, but she plays such good defense. She hustles after everything, and her three-pointer is wet, so yep.
Speaking of the three-pointer, is that going to be a big part of your offense, trying to shoot as many threes as you can this year, or are you guys more of playing inside and pass it out?
I feel like we're a shooting team right now. We just have a lot of good shooters. Our percentages are going up, but we're still working on it.
All right, thank you very much for both of your time, and best of luck this season.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now let's go ahead and toss it over to Victor Vasquez, who will be recapping and breaking down what happened in this 2019 season for the Fullerton Hornets.
The Fullerton College football team provided many thrills and exciting moments during the 2019 season. Led by Garrett Campbell, who in his first official year as head coach helped the Hornets to a 5-5 overall record with a 3-2 record in the National Central League Conference. Fullerton started the season off by going head-to-head with the Rustlers of Golden West. We saw glimpses of Fullerton's firepower as sophomore quarterback Quinn Commons put up 286 passing yards with 2 touchdowns to help the Hornets take down Golden West 38-33 to earn their first victory of the season. Another key victory for Fullerton came in Week 3 of the season as they faced off against the Santa Ana Dons in the 97th Key to the County game. The Dons tried their best, but the Hornets were too much that night as they defeated Santa Ana 59-13, setting the series record for most points scored. Fullerton won their 50th game of the series between Santa Ana, with the overall record now standing at 50 wins, 43 losses, and 4 ties. But every season has tough hurdles and challenges that teams must overcome. The Hornets faced those challenges in Week 2 against the #1 ranked team in the nation at the time, the Riverside Tigers. In what ended up being a battle between the defenses, the Hornets couldn't pull off the upset and lost 16-7. Fullerton also went into deep waters in back-to-back weeks against the Southwestern Jaguars and the Ventura Pirates. Against Southwestern, which was a back-and-forth contest that lasted over 3 hours, the game ended with a touchdown pass from Southwestern quarterback Joshua Owen to wide receiver Terry Wright in double overtime to beat the Hornets 33-30. Fullerton then lost another heartbreaker in overtime as they failed to kick in the extra point to send the game into double overtime versus Ventura, which ended with a score of 48-47. But it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish, and that's exactly what the Hornets were able to do. Fullerton was able to go on a 3-game win streak in order to put them in position to play for the Central League Conference Championship. Those 3 wins included teams such as Palomar, San Diego Mesa, and El Camino. With a 3-1 record in the Central League Conference during Week 10, the Hornets faced off against the Mounties of Mount Sac in order to determine which team would come out conference champions. But similar to previous losses during the season, the Hornets came up short as they could not come up with an answer late in the 4th quarter, as Mount Sac was crowned the Central League Conference champions. Although the Hornets did not end their season with the championship, there were still plenty of positives that can be highlighted on both the offensive and defensive end. For offense, quarterback Quinn Commons ends the season with a 62% completion rating, 2,071 yards through the air, and a total of 19 touchdowns, which was the 3rd highest in the Central League Conference. On the defensive end, 2 athletes stand out over the rest, and these players could be competing for the Defensive Player of the Year. The first player is freshman defensive lineman Josh Tarango, who had a total of 58 tackles as well as a Central League leading 11.5 sacks. The second player that had an impact for the Hornets was defensive back Xavion Steele, who had 59 tackles, 7 tackles for losses, and 2 interceptions. Lastly, you cannot overlook special teams and the performance that freshman Kashawn Griffin put on, in which he set the school record for most touchdowns off of kickoff returns, as he was able to return 4 kickoffs during the season and earn the SCFA Special Teams All-Purpose Player of the Week for Week 9 action. We also cannot forget the contribution of the rest of the student athletes on this Fullerton Hornets squad who did all they could to help out the team during the year. As such, we come to a close in another Hornets football season, and we are excited to see what's in store for Fullerton in 2020.
Thank you very much, Victor, as we take a look at not just Fullerton College football, but also the rest of the state of California. When you look at the final rankings and also the playoff positioning for different teams in this state, a chance for each and every one of them to prove themselves and get to the state championship game and possibly even a national title. First, we start off with the rankings here in the state of California as they finished off. It's number 1 College of San Mateo. They got 6 of the 7 first-place votes over top of Riverside City College. They finished the season at 10-0. They end up beating City College of San Francisco, and San Mateo finishes the regular season undefeated with 174 points to their credit. Riverside City College slots in right behind them. They had a huge game over top of Saddleback, as we're going to get to that in just a couple of moments. But they finished the year at 10-0, so they are number 2, technically number 2, as they get 1 first-place vote. Right after them is American River, who ended up winning on Saturday. They win their conference, and for American River, that is something huge. They're trying to get back to the championship for the first time since 2016. Finally, we get to number 4, Saddleback, 9-1 this season. Their final game of the regular season came against none other than the Riverside City College Tigers out at Riverside. That was a hotly contested matchup between both of those two sides, and it all came down to whether or not Saddleback was able to find someone other than Chance Nolan to start up their offense. Chance Nolan was good. Don't get me wrong. The problem is Riverside City College was able to score at will. They scored 56 points compared to Saddleback's 23, and Riverside City College finishes the season undefeated. Saddleback finishes at 9-1. They drop underneath American River. Modesto slots in at 8-2. as they'll be the number 5 team in the state of California, and rounding out the top 10 is Fresno City, College of the Canyons, Ventura, Butte, and Mount Sac. Now, you're going to hear a little bit more from those teams coming up in just a few moments as we end up looking at some of the bowl games that are going to be taking place around the state of California. When you look at the bowl games, the rankings, again, that big game between RCC and Saddleback had a lot to do with how everything kind of slotted out in Southern California. Northern California was a little bit more straightforward than we've seen in recent years. Nonetheless, Southern California was kind of a hodgepodge after that game ended up finishing. Not to mention you had Canyons, who ended up taking on Long Beach City College. They end up beating Long Beach City College, so Canyons wins the conference. Now you're thinking to yourself, okay, we have at least 5 or 6 teams who are good enough to get themselves into the playoffs. Who is going to go? Well, we have the final say. In Southern California, the number 1 overall seed will be Riverside City College, and they will end up seeing Saddleback be number 2 in the state playoff. However, they will not host their playoff game, as College of the Canyons, who is the number 3 seed at 8-2, will have to host because Saddleback plays at Mission Viejo High School until their $55 million stadium is complete. In the CCCAA, you can't play a playoff or championship game at a high school. It must be an NCAA approved and marked stadium. So, College of the Canyons has their own stadium on campus. They're going to host, even though Saddleback is higher ranked in the standings. So it goes Riverside City College number 1, Saddleback at number 2 with a 9-1 record, College of the Canyons at 8-2, who just ends up sneaking in there, and then Mount Sac. That's the number 14. They beat Fullerton College on Saturday by a couple of scores, and for Fullerton College, they're quite unhappy to see Mount Sac end up going into the playoff again. Remember, that's an old rival of Fullerton College in the last 10 years. Let's switch it up to Northern California and see how everything finally slotted out. College of San Mateo, everybody knew was going to get that number 1 slot, especially considering that they end up finishing the season at 10-0, so they slot in at number 1. Modesto comes in at number 2. 8-2. Again, they played Laney, they played Butte, they played City College of San Francisco. They had a lot of quality victories, and the committee ended up looking at them and saying, you know what, we're going to honor that. And they end up putting Modesto at 8-2 as the number 2 seed in the Northern California Final Four. American River is the number 3 seed. So, again, when you look at American River, they slotted in a whole 3 spots ahead of Modesto in the state rankings. American River is going to end up not hosting the game because they're the number 3 seed to Modesto. How this is working out, I have no idea. And it kind of left a lot of people scratching their heads after they saw the final rankings. College of San Mateo number 1, Modesto, who finished lower than American River in the standings, in the rankings, ends up hosting, and they're the number 2 seed. American River comes in at the number 3 seed. Fresno City College is the one who ends up getting that wild card berth, the number 4 seed in the Northern California playoffs. So College of San Mateo versus Fresno City, Modesto against American River, Riverside City College against Mount Sac, and Saddleback against College of the Canyons. Those are going to be the playoff games. Let's get over to the bowl games in the SCFA. The Beach Bowl, which will be taking place on November the 23rd, will be Cerritos at 6-4 taking on 8-2 Ventura. That will be at Ventura College, a 6 p.m. start. El Camino will be visiting San Diego Mesa. 6-4 El Camino, 7-3 San Diego Mesa. That's a 6 p.m. matchup. They will be hosting the Patriotic Bowl on Saturday afternoon. The Southern California Bowl is going to feature Southwestern at 6-4 and Long Beach City College at 6-3. That will be a 6 p.m. start, joined by the American Championship Bowl. Chaffee at 9-0 and San Bernardino Valley at 9-1. Those two teams haven't met yet this season. San Bernardino Valley has a chance to take down the undefeated Chaffee Panthers. That will be at San Bernardino Valley, a 6 p.m. start there. Finally, in Southern California, it wraps up with the Western State Bowl, as it will be Mount San Jacinto at 8-2, who will host Allen Hancock at 8-2 as well. That will be hosted at Rigetti High School. A little bit of a surprise there, as we had mentioned. The previous ruling was that no high school stadium was able to host a postseason game. Nonetheless, they're going to host it at Rigetti High School. It means they have to have NCAA football markings. In Northern California, the American Championship Bowl is going to be between Foothill and Reedley. Now, for Reedley College, they're trying to get another championship to their name in the last few years. They have been a traditional powerhouse in Northern California. Foothill at 10-0, Reedley at 9-1. That will be on Saturday afternoon. The Living Breath Foundation Bowl, Monterey Peninsula at 9-1, will be taking on Cabrillo at 8-2 at Rabobank Stadium. The Golden State Bowl will feature Shasta at 7-3 and City College of San Francisco, who thought that they may have earned themselves a spot in that Final Four, but when they lose to San Mateo, they don't guarantee that spot. Had they beaten the Bulldogs, they are assured a spot in the playoff, and San Mateo was going to get there either way. So City College of San Francisco loses. That brings us to the Golden State Bowl. The Gridiron Classic Bowl is going to be College of the Sequoias at Butte. That will be a 6-4 versus a 7-3 matchup. It's high noon for the start there. The NorCal Grizzly Bowl between Sierra and Laney. That will be hosted by Laney. Both of those two teams sitting at 6-4 to finish off their season. So those are the bowl games, the final rankings, and the Southern California, Northern California state playoff. Will continue to update you on what goes on, even though Fullerton College isn't in the postseason. We'll just give you an update as to what each team is doing. Now, speaking of teams, Fullerton College actually has a lot going on for them this weekend. That would be November the 23rd. Fullerton College soccer, Fullerton College women's water polo. Both are going to be in state tournament games. We start with soccer. That will be live on KBPK's YouTube page. So again, go to YouTube right here, the same channel. You can find the live stream there. And then women's water polo. At 1:30 p.m., they will be in the state championship game. A possibility of bringing another championship to Fullerton College campus for the second time in the last 6 seasons for Gabriel Martinez. So we here at KBPK wish the best of luck to Coach Gabriel Martinez and the entire women's water polo team here at Fullerton College in their quest for the state championship game. Next week, on the Coaches Show, we're going to have an entire water polo special from the state semifinal and recapping the state final as well. So that's going to do it for this portion of the Coaches Show. Let's send it back to Noah Alvarez as he wraps things up.
That's going to do it for another edition of this week's Coaches Show. For Ryan Osborne, Victor Vasquez, I'm Noah Alvarez. Thanks for tuning in to a Coaches Show here on 90.1 KBPK and SportsNetUSA.net.